understanding is infinite. Everything, language, anything, everything, infinite possibilities. You see, so many different ways to say the same thing, expression. You know, when we were growing up in our Tibetan Buddhist culture, we were kind of brainwashed, you know, to say, oh, Tibetan language is really special. Our written language and language. You know how they justify? They say, because it's special Dharma. They're like, then, you know, we were a kid, and of course, you know, you want to think that what comes from your ancestors' tradition is good, you know. Oh yeah, we must have the best thing. Then, as I started to understand other languages, then I started to realize our language is not the best language in the world, not the. But it's. I have to say that this is complete Dharma language, though. If you want to attain enlightenment, there's no shortage. The communication is complete, but it's not rich. English language is much richer. You see, I know English very well. You know, there's so many different ways to express, especially colloquial thing, common, ordinary thing. Oh, English much more richer. So many different ways to express ordinary conceptual ideas. You know. But there are shortcomings in English. I can tell very profound Dharma concept, you know, because English language didn't develop with that. So, but you could use the word and give explanation. Then it comes okay, you know. You know, say words like emptiness. You know, in most English-speaking people, when you say emptiness, they don't have Buddhist understanding of emptiness. You see, now you have to explain what does this mean in Buddhist context. Same thing like luminosity, nature of your mind. You know, pristine awareness, etc. These are very profound concepts. Concept of Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and all these very profound ideas. You can explain. English language is rich enough that you can explain and then people will understand. Yeah. But I have noticed, for instance, some of the conceptual expression, English versus Tibetan, some expression, ordinary conceptual thing, I find English is, you know, explains better, kind of, you know. There were words like, oh, this English word explains better this particular situation in this particular context, you know. Then some word I find English is language, it doesn't exactly explain what's going on. Dharma, Tibetan words are good. Oh, this describes very beautifully actually what's really going on. For instance, I give you one example, you know. In Tibetan, word discrimination. In English, you say discriminate means separate, you know, one versus other. That's all there is. Meaning is that. That's it. There's nothing more than that, you know, English. Discriminate. Oh, it's discriminating. Race discrimination, gender, whatever, you know, it's just discrimination. In Tibetan, discrimination, word literally is, word for discrimination is near and far. Can you believe? You know, he's doing near and far. Near means, you know, actually, conceptually, emotionally, attachment and aversion-wise, that's exactly what's going on. Somebody who is close to you, somebody who you identify with, all the way to yourself, with your family member, your loved ones, to your country people, to everybody else. Then you're separating that. This near, the one who's near to you, you're attached to it, and the one who's a little bit far to you, you know, you have a little bit of aversion. Yeah, less attachment. In other words, okay. So, it's just nearing chagma. And I like that, you know, very interesting. If you look at it, that's exactly what's going on, you know, with discrimination, you know. It's just attached to one who's close to you and some, you know, you have a little bit of aversion to people who are not close to you. Yeah. All these things, what to do, you know, human beings. all these so-called discrimination. And so what can you do? Parents, mother and father, even among their own kids, have one that they favor versus another one that less favor. The discrimination is like that, you know. This human mind attachment, everybody had three poison. Parents have three poison too, Even they have their own kids. They have the favor ones and one who's less favored. That's discrimination also, you see? But this is how naturally it is. Treat your kids equally, okay? Yeah. I notice um, when I was growing up in Tibetan family, some family members, a particular family member is favored, and they're all say like, okay, I'll give you one example. I saw this many times, but there was one family who I know very well, and there are like several brothers and sisters. Okay, like there were like 4 or 5 of them or so, and then there were among them brothers, sisters, um, and then they have several other relatives and so on. And then among these brothers sisters, there are mm, at least I would say 2 of them, so very very competent, very how do you say, very, I don't know how you say in English, but very competent, very capable, very smart, very capable, do things, make things, and when everybody's a hard time, somehow they have more material thing than anybody else, it's like that, and they're very smart. And then then they take care, and you know they help their own family member, right? Everybody, and then the family member who's struggling, and they got help from their brother, and it's like, and that brother was more important than the other brother sister. And there was one brother, okay, and this family has one brother who is a lama, religious monk, okay, and uh, and then he was a lama, but he's a little bit like an idiot, okay, character-wise. He's kind of like, in America, you might say he's like a loser. He's a lama, nice lama, but completely, from the point of view of brothers, sisters, totally not helpful. He's not anything. And so the one who was helping everybody was careful. The lama one was the least favored somehow. When everybody's struggling, though, that time, that's part of the reason. And and then I remember thinking, like, it's strange, they're lama and older lama. He's a monk and a lama, a good practitioner actually. And then they don't favor him, but they favor the other brother, one who's really. Then later as I was growing up, then I realized that this brother was capable of helping, making everybody's life a little better, easier materially and so on. The lama brother cannot do that, and he's completely like oblivious to everybody else's struggle. So he becomes less favored, even though the same sibling, among siblings, like this, the example of discrimination. Okay. Yeah. Even I tell you what, even enlightened gurus have the favored ones. Yes, that's again different though. Guru have a favorite student because the favorite student who he can see is going to do greater good. It's not from the point of view of, ordinary type of attachment, but the one who is going to do the right thing is the one who becomes favorite. I was favored student of my guru. Yeah. You see, you have your guru's love, you cannot go wrong. I couldn't do anything else but pure Dharma. It's Guru's blessing. See, since I was young, struggling to make living, I couldn't do anything else. I had to do nothing but true Dharma. It's Guru's blessing. See, like that. People say, Karmapa, 16 Karmapa's favorite is Situ Rinpoche. Karmapa's favorite. Everybody knows. So Situ Rinpoche is the favorite. You see? Because Situ Rinpoche is the one who is really going to uphold the lineage, serve Buddha Dharma lineage, sentient being, help sentient being. That's why he was the favorite. You know, some of you don't know, but some of you do know about our 16th Karmapa. After 16th Karmapa, there's so much problem. There's now a fake Karmapa, second one, you know, all those things. And then when this first problem started, you know, it's a very powerful problem started. Before fake Karmapa was produced, there was some little friction within the lineage leaders. Okay, our lineage leaders, some frictions. And then, you know, a very sad story is the division started from top. There's a Shamapa. You know, Shamapa was a very significant being in our enlightened lineage in the past. You know, I can tell I myself have a very profound connection. You know, I love Shamar Rinpoche. You know, I feel kind of heartbroken this time what happened, you know, this thing. It just breaks my heart. So, but this time around, then, you know, Shamar Rinpoche played the devil's advocate. So sad, you know, for us lineage. And and my guru was alive. Karmapa passed away in 1981. Okay? And my guru passed away 89. So there were many years. Still, my guru was still alive that time. And then I heard from my own ear, from my guru, that Karmapa had said, 16th Karmapa said, says, Kalurumbachi, you know, Karmapa loved Kalurumbachi very much, you know, Kalurumbachi, you know. Situ Rinpoche is the one I 100% trust. Karmapa had said that. I cannot trust Shamar Rinpoche. Karmapa himself had said that. Situ Rinpoche is the one I trust, 100% trust. Shamar Rinpoche is my nephew. Shamar Rinpoche is biologically Karmapa's nephew, 16 Karmapa's nephew. But he says my nephew, but I can't trust him. Like this, you know. I have heard this, you know. Then, soon after my guru passed away, 1990, 91, that the kind of chaos started. Karmapa incarnation chaos, you know. All this story started. And when the chaos started, because I have heard this from my guru, I knew who you know, who is doing the authentically right thing and who is not, because I have heard this from my guru myself, you know. Then Shamar Rinpoche also behavior. Shamar Rinpoche, strange behavior. And then Shamar Rinpoche had an evil cousin, another cousin who's completely evil. This guy influenced him. And Shamar Rinpoche kind of played a devil's advocate, but his evil cousin is the one who pushed it. Some kind of very powerful negative aspiration from former life to destroy Karmapa's enlightened activity or something. So he was really up to destroy. And Shamar Rinpoche got sucked in, and then it's some kind of people's karma to follower, has not good karma, and then ended up chaos, you know. And then they produce a fake one, trying to create confusion among followers, you know. You see, Maras and Forsherdans always do this, try to create chaos so that you wouldn't be out of samsara, you know, like this. You know, I've explained to this many times, but I'll say it again. From Buddhist understanding, those who create chaos in Dharma, you know, schism in Dharma is worse than people like Hitler. You know. Now, when I say that, it deserves a real explanation. Otherwise, it would be a difficult one for you to understand. And you know why? This is how it works. Hitler, as terrible as he is in his action, it's just one-time thing. Okay, Second World War, blame everything on Hitler. How many people died, okay? 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 million people died in that war. Okay, Hitler is squarely, mainly responsible. He's responsible for 100 million people's death. But the point of view of, greater karma and endless life cycle and so on and so on, it's only 100 million. As much as it is, it's still a very, very limited number. The guy like this, Karmapa's nephews, I'm not talking Shamar Rinpoche, this other evil guy, really evil guy, really evil guy. He created a schism, turned many people away from Dharma path and Karmapa. Faith and devotion, Karmapa lost. Things like that, create. These people could be lost for possible in the future. More than 100 million. One single person can get lost. More than 100 million times. It would be like killing more than 100 million times. Each person for many, many. This is how serious broken samaya and karmas are. Very serious stuff. People, when you don't understand Dharma correctly, is serious, serious stuff. Dharma is, samaya and things like that. So this guy did all these terrible things. Then he died. Some kind of, karma to be like this. He vowed to create disruption in Karmapa's enlightened activity somewhere in his former life. And his negative vow had manifested during 16 Karmapa's time. And he was born in 16 Karmapa's family, kind of like Buddha with Devadatta. Devadatta was Buddha's cousin, like that. So amazing. Yeah. We have a saying in Buddhism, the more powerful the Dharma and pure and enlightened teacher, the force of Mara is equally powerful too. Yeah.
Will it ever change?
Huh?
Will it ever change?
No, in samsara, no, it will not change because it will always be like this. Yeah, continuously in the future. The only thing one thing that will not change, we can always hope is no matter what the chaotic situation of samsara, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas will never give up helping. It's so hard to help. They will never do it. They'll find, no matter what kind of care, they will always find a way to help. This is the one thing we can count on, you see. Otherwise, it's like, it's too difficult to help people, sentient beings. Okay, I give up. No, that's the one thing. Chenrezig doesn't give up, doesn't blink. You see, that's the thing. You see, when I understand about Chenrezig's gazing with the eyes of compassion, and the meaning of that is don't even blink. Wow, whoa, like this, you see, right? It's amazing. The understanding is if you blink, he might miss one or two sentient being here and there, and doesn't blink. How incredible, right? Like this is the one thing you can count on Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. They never give up. To me personally, my guru, I can count on my guru. No matter what kind of situation I'm in, I can absolutely count on him. Like that. See, that's the thing.
When Devadatta was dying and he called on the Buddha, did that, in a way, end that?
Yeah, Devadatta's karma ended that time. Yeah. This is those who are new here. Devadatta was Buddha's cousin, evil cousin, and he was born Buddha's cousin in the royal family, and create schism and chaos and even trying to kill Buddha. Buddha cannot be killed, perfect being, Devadatta did try all kinds of things. He cannot. Uh, so he was right there, create all these obstacles and difficulties and schisms and chaos and so on and so on. And then our understanding is that's his kind of like final karma, some kind of karma. Somehow he vowed to try and create obstacle for Buddha's activity since long, long time ago, you know. And then my enlightened guru said Buddha and Devadatta was together, like Karmapa with his evil nephew together, like that. Many, many past life, my guru said. Many past life. Buddha was something doing something, and Devadatta was doing something. Devadatta create chaos many, 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 many times. And so, those of you who have not heard the Devadatta's final story, let me explain that. This is an amazing story. And the story is, Devadatta did all five sins that which ripens immediately. Maybe not all of them, some of them. He did at least three of them. 3 or 4 of them, yeah. So his karma has ripened too so powerful. One day, Buddha, in front of many of his students, earth cracked. This is the story. Earth had a crack, and there was a fire from hell. From giant gulf of fire came in and took Devadatta alive into hell. And Devadatta went to hell like that. This is the story. And when that happened, only at that precise moment, Devadatta had a real remorse. Only then he had a true remorse. Now he knows he's a very difficult situation for him. And then at that moment, he also knew Buddha was the only one who can protect him. So the story is so amazing. Story is when he has so much fear, so much regret, and then at that precise moment, he said, "I take refuge in Buddha from the bottom of my heart," and then he went to hell. Amazing, That's the story. And you know what? Amazing thing is, when he finally had that profound remorse, and then sincerely, he knew Buddha is the only one who can protect him ultimately. Temporarily he's going to go, but ultimately he knew. He had correct understanding. Just he's so screwed up in his mind. Couldn't do the right thing. It's like that. So then at that moment, cause condition came together. And then Buddha could see that Devadatta will become enlightened in the future. And Buddha prophesied Devadatta's enlightenment. Devadatta's enlightenment. And Buddha said Devadatta, in a particular time and space in the future universe, will become a Buddha and have activity of Buddha like that. And Buddha prophesied that. And then you know what the amazing thing is? Buddha said, when Devadatta demonstrated perfection and turned the wheel of Dharma, sentient being, the name of the Buddha at that time, Devadatta's name will be the one who took refuge from the bottom of his heart. That will be Devadatta's Buddha name, Buddhahood name. Amazing, huh? So amazing. Among many stories, all kinds of incredible stories in time of the Buddha, right? One of Devadatta, many, many stories. One of my favorite stories is Devadatta one time had a stomach problem. Okay? Huge stomach upset problem. And he had some kind of almost like stomach cancer or something. And the time of the Buddha, like I mentioned to you the other day, there was the world's greatest healer was there. Doctor was there too. The doctor's name is called Soji Shunu. Incredible doctor. How do you say? It's like, sometimes we hear stories like some, in Brazil, some, what do you call these healers, psychic healers who can take out your cancer. So, some incredible stories we hear, once in a while. We do hear things like that around the world, right? That kind of thing. This doctor, which was time of the Buddha was alive, was so great doctor. And he was able to heal anything. And if he couldn't do it, then there's nothing nobody could do. It's like, and this doctor, you see, I mentioned to you, he was also born in the same time as Buddha. You remember I was telling you, the Vishwakarma, the artist was born, the doctor was born, greatest healer. And the doctor was truly great healer, Doctor himself also very proudly declared that he said, "I'm the greatest healer of the body." Buddha is the greatest healer of the mind, he said. This doctor even publicly declared like that. He was that great. So he had Devadatta, stomach upset, and it's terrible. And Devadatta, doctor diagnosed, and then is checked very carefully, and then doctor come to conclusion there's nothing he can do or anybody else can do. He has a very serious condition, stomach. Only person who can heal you is Buddha. Buddha is the only one who can heal you. And Devadatta did all kinds of terrible things to Buddha. But when he has need help, he shamelessly went to Buddha, asked for help. Hey, Buddha, can you help me? Buddha, this incredible Buddha, And Buddha said, Devadatta, you know, despite the fact that you tried to kill me, hurt me, harm me, destroy reputations, and create schism in the Sangha and everything, despite all the things that you did, he said, I never had a fraction of moment of animosity towards you. Not even a fraction of moment. How can Buddha's mind have anything like that? Any dirt like that? Not possible. Perfectly pure mind. Buddha and said that. Because of that, because of the power of that, may you be healed. Buddha declared that truth. Devadatta was healed. Can you believe? That's my favorite story. Wow, Buddha. Devadatta was healed by proclaiming that truth, and he was completely healed. Amazing, huh? Time to drink tea. Tea is good. Anila made tea. I'm going to take some credit because the material came from me. And then it was my stove, over to my stove, my kitchen. Anila and Zhuang Jinghua and Kathy all deserve some credit. I have to mention everybody's name. Otherwise, like, Rinpoche didn't mention my name. Ah, boy. Yesterday was later in the day, was not feeling good. Body, when your mind is stuck in the body, if the body is not good, the mind get affected by that. Interesting. I'm not affected by illness as much as I used to long time ago, Getting sick and miserable, right? I don't have this problem anymore. Yeah. Maybe eventually I could be like Milarepa. Milarepa, you know what Milarepa said? Milarepa was asked one time, Jetsun Milarepa, Jetsun, how are you? One of his students asked, and then he gave a beautiful song. Milarepa says, oh, he's well. He said, oh, blessing came from my enlightened guru and something, 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 and therefore I'm well. He gave several reasons. Beautifully, all this perfect expression, You see, that's the thing. Milarepa has a perfect expression every time because he has a perfect state of mind. And then the expression that comes out of that is nothing but perfect, each time. So one of the things he says is, pain, even the ordinary so-called pain, comes in as a pleasure. Therefore, I'm fine and I'm well. It's amazing, That's the thing. You reach to a point where his mind is totally blissful. Every experience, only bliss experiences. Yeah. Great bliss. Blissful state is what the Mahamudra state of mind truly is, you see. That's the real declaration. You don't have to be miserable. You all can perfectly blissfully exists. See? When you blissfully exist, no pain, no suffering. It's been said one who has truly achieved that level of mind, even like a sharp needle poke in his body, bliss arises. How amazing it is, right? So it's been said that. So Milarepa declaring, it says, pain comes in as a pleasure, therefore I'm fine, I'm well. Vous comprenez un petit peu?
Is he saying that he doesn't even have to transform it?
No, it's spontaneous. It's yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything in his body is completely pure. That does not exist even in one impure little cell in body, so to speak. You know, it's kind of like that. This is where the example of this so-called rainbow bodies come in. Everything has become pure. There's no leftover residue. It can be like, yeah, yeah. That's kind of considered the highest thing. Sign, even a physical sign that there's not even one little cell impure residue left over. It's completely dissolves. What? In something about what? Yeah, I heard Mahamudra part. Huh? Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, continue flow of bliss. That's what you have once you truly have arrived. You see, yeah, unceasing. You know, you see, you come to realize, and you realize everybody else is suffering, and there's so much overwhelming compassion arise within you. You know, and then overwhelming compassion. Essence of that compassion is emptiness. The union of compassion and emptiness. You know, and it says, prayer says, may I never be separate from that. You know, you know. Yeah, bliss. Enlightened beings is like that, total bliss. My gurus are like that, totally bliss. It's so amazing. My enlightened guru's presence, in the monastery. Sometimes we have chaos outside. People are sometimes fighting and all kind of. And then you go into my guru's room, it's so peaceful, just present. Just like you can forget everything. Just, so pleasurable, peaceful to be around. It's the effect of that state of mind. 16 Karmapa is like that. Very powerful. Amazing. Yeah. Now, the thing is, however my guru, enlightened guru was, how 16 Karmapas was that I'm talking about, we all have potential to be like that. That's the essential message. Buddha's message is that too. However Buddha was, perfect he was, we could be that. And Buddha's essential message is that you all could be that, I have to work a little bit because so much junk there. Work is to just get rid of all the junks. That's it. Yeah. Amazing, huh? When you meet an authentic teacher, guru, very inspiring, When you meet, like I was saying, when I met my guru, my life completely changed. After that, I can't do any wrong anymore. I had to do the right thing only. You see, it was really so special, having meeting an authentic teacher. That's it. Then you can say bye-bye to samsara. Bye-bye. I'll come back and help you, but I don't need to be there. Almost time to start, but I want to finish this. Okay, we have to start.